everybody. This is Monica from Always the Heart. I'm your healing facilitator. Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about psychosomatics, the study of psychosomatics. What does it mean that emotions are stored in the body? How they surface in the body, and what is it that you can do once you realize that you might have a problem with emotions being stored in the body? So I'm going to talk about this and explaining this by using an example of stomach ulcers. If you are someone who has ever experienced this, you know this is not a pleasant experience. It hurts. There's a lot of other symptoms associated with it. All stomach ulcers are basically little sores that are open inside your stomach, on your stomach lining. So the acid in your stomach is constantly touching these open sores. So you can imagine what kind of pain this is. So when you have stomach ulcers, when you suspect you have them, you go to a doctor does a test, and that usually will involve some kind of testing, maybe a breath test where they test the breath that comes from your stomach to see if there's any bacteria that could be causing this problem. And this issue is caused by a bacteria called H. pylori. And if you are tested positive for this bacteria, having symptoms of stomach pain, pain while eating, a bloating, and such, and you are tested positive for this bacteria, you are being given a very heavy course of antibiotics. So this is the allopathic medicine, your regular doctor that most of insurance plans cover. If you go to a holistic doctor or functional medicine doctor, they're going to actually see what's going on and why this bacteria is in your stomach. So then it might be testing for issues with stomach acidity. Maybe there's low acid in your stomach causing the bacterial overgrowth, so the bad guys can take over and the good guys are not having the right environment to maintain themselves and constantly battle the bad guys. So when that happens, the H. pylori bacteria can start growing, and when it grows out of hand, out of control, it will start causing damage. And at the end, we have the stomach ulcers. So this is your holistic doctor, your functional medicine doctor. When we dig even deeper to see what the real cause of this problem is, we arrive at the study of psychosomatics. And what that means is a practitioner will start looking at the thought and emotional patterns that could be also causing this condition, especially limiting beliefs and what is it that you believe is happening in your life, how you perceive your life. So when we look at the body and body systems, body organs, each of them stores different kinds of information and they correspond to different aspects of your life. The stomach usually represents the mother or a primarily female figure in your life, especially when you were growing up. Not every person grew up having a mother at home, but there is a primarily female figure that was playing a influential role when you were growing up. So your relationship with that person is stored and represented by the stomach, how you receive nutrients, and how you are being nurtured, emotionally nurtured from that person. Then what I do in my practice, we dig in even deeper than that. We not only look at the beliefs and stories and memories and emotions that surround this area, we also look at what emotions are actually stored there. Is there grief? Is there resentment? Is there bitterness that you might still be feeling unconsciously, meaning you will not actually right now are identifying these emotions that are stored in that place in the body. But I also in my practice look at what instinct in your body is activated when you feel that emotion. And why that happens is because somewhere in the past you have experienced a moment of feeling unsafe that involved that primary female figure in your life or your mother. And that stress was never resolved. Resolution was never brought to the surface. And to rescue you, your own body came in and activated a survival instinct, either running away, the need to fight, the need to hide, or you were basically numbing in that moment, or maybe even disassociating. And the emotion that you felt at the moment is being locked in with that instinct. And there was also something that you needed to feel. That stress was supposed to be resolved with something. And a need for that emotion, let's say in this case, that would be compassion or being seen, validated, gets locked in with the emotion that you felt at the moment. Let's say that was bitterness and resentment towards the mother. All these emotions, instincts, and the positive emotional needs are being locked in almost in time, and they're being active in your body for all the years that you have been experiencing the problem. That's why now at the end, the body, this disharmony and this stress that was not resolved is now being shown to you as a physical problem. So what is it that you can do if you have issues with stomach ulcers or any other issue in your body? Whether it's a chronic illness, pain, maybe you have an addiction you are trying to quit, smoking, drinking, gossiping. Maybe you have pain somewhere in your body. Maybe you have other imbalances, things that have been bothering you for a very long time, but you don't really respond to medical treatment. Maybe you have been having issues with something since you were a child, and you always knew that has to be something else going on, because the treatments that are prescribed to you, they either work only when they're prescribed. The moment you put them away, the problem comes back, or you basically are not healing. So when there is an issue with the body, what I do in my practice, we trace it down to the lowest common denominator, which in this case is emotion. We see what emotion lives in the body, what the problem is. What is it that you actually need? How is it serving and saving you? Because remember, I was explaining the problem still lives in your body. So let's say the problem happened when you were 3. That part of your body where the emotion is stored, it still thinks that you are 3 years old experiencing distress. So the resolution, the locking in of the negative emotion that you felt with the positive need that you felt in the moment, your relationship with the mother is still going on. We find out what those emotions are, and we let the body know that the stress is now over. And this is not something you need to hear, this is something you need to feel. That's why facilitating sessions of emotional healing involves feeling these emotions. And the process I use does not have you relive the traumatic experience you had in the past that kept that emotion locked in for so many years. The process that I use uses your imagination and a little bit of playfulness to resolve that issue without re-traumatizing you and having to experience whatever issue it was. Now, if you're thinking that you can achieve the same results using any other modality, ask yourself this: does your modality take into account emotions that you maybe picked up from others? Emotions that were so strong that now, as energy, they almost latch down onto you? Does the modality that you're thinking about right now deal with ancestral, unresolved stress that was passed down to you in your DNA? The information from your ancestors, the color of your hair, the genes and predispositions have been passed down to you, and also the emotional information as energy is in those genes as well. So maybe right now you're experiencing a problem that didn't really start with you. What I am offering to each and every client that comes my way is a process that will help you find out where these emotions started, who they started with, how they're serving you, if there is a better way, a more harmonious way to resolve the problem that the old issues stuck in place are not resolving, we bring out the resolution and solution, and we let the body know that it can finally let go and start harmonizing, releasing the problem that has been bothering you for years. And the body then responds beautifully to medical treatment, then the body responds really nicely to the changes that you're making in your life. And in many cases, like in a case of my chronic hip pain that I have been telling you guys about, spontaneously just resolve without any involvement. You don't have to do anything. That is also possible. Now, this process is not to be used in place of medical treatment, but it works beautifully in harmony with what has been prescribed to you and what you find out in the process about yourself, about your own values, how you have been giving your power away to other people in order to feel safe. That is the real healing. Seeing the emotions and the resources within you rise to the surface, and then you have access to them. Communication is becoming easier. You are then able to assert your boundaries from a place of certainty, not from a place of anger anymore. You are being connected to your own sense of compassion towards yourself, and you let everybody off the hook, no longer needing to blame others and being held hostage by others through the means of, let's say, family values, expectations, or old unresolved trauma. So I am inviting you right now to go over to the Always the Hard business site here on Facebook. I have posted just now a little bit of information on how different body parts store different kinds of information. So this is just a a starting guide for you to see if any of these issues apply to you, and if you have questions about any other ailment, maybe a chronic disease you have, maybe a problem with a specific body part, I have a support group here on Facebook dedicated to that, to decoding the language of the body. And if you are wondering whether or not you can use this process to resolve any other issues that are not physical, maybe you are always drawn to people who, in the end, use you. Narcissistic relationships. Maybe you are someone who is afraid to speak up and be seen. Maybe you are someone who in your life has issues with forming relationships and trusting others. Maybe you don't really know what your values are. Then, yes, this process can help with these issues as well. And this is why. Because the core um, common denominator under each and every problem is emotion. And if you have a body, doesn't matter if it's an able body, a healthy body, or if you have all of your limbs, you can feel the emotions in your body and you can trace them down to the emotion that is holding the problem in place. So whatever it is that you are currently struggling with, fear, isolation, resentment, maybe you started seeing changes in your body, maybe it's aching a little bit more, maybe the condition that you always had is worsening now because of the stress that you're feeling, the world is changing. Maybe it is time for you to start listening to that. So if you are interested, if this interests you, let me know, send me a message, let's have a conversation, what options are available to you. And if you are not ready to really address them after finding out, that's okay. At least the information you will receive and together we'll discover through having a conversation will give you a little bit of clarity of what's going on in your life and what have you been saying yes to for way too long. Again, my name is Monica Dulian. I am a healing facilitator at Always the Heart, where I help you trace down the emotional root cause of the problems and issues you're experiencing in your life. Thank you so much for paying attention. I hope it all made sense. I am here to answer any questions you might have, and I will be linking the group down below. You are so welcome to join us and join the conversation. Thank you again. Bye bye.